Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining the Echo AR workshop. Today we're going to talk about how you can build an AR or VR application in 15 minutes or less. Thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the chat, and I welcome everyone who's here through an event or a hackathon. So welcome, and excited to be here. I'm going to start by saying hello. I'm Alon, founder of Echo AR. We're a New York-based company. I did my master's in computer science at Columbia University, specializing in AR, VR, and my undergrad in computer science and electrical engineering, specializing in cloud. So a certified nerd and a big believer in the AR, VR space. Now, I'm going to throw out these terms a lot: augmented reality, virtual reality. So let's kind of level set here. Let's define them together to understand what they mean. So virtual reality or VR is when everything around you is digital. You're fully immersed in a 3D environment, and everything you see is this kind of computer-generated image, the CGI, that is being projected into your eyes through some kind of headset that usually occludes everything you see, and you control the world with your hands or some controllers. As opposed to augmented reality or AR, in which you still see the real world, but that world is overlaid with digital content, and you're looking at the world through some optical see-through like a headset or glasses, or a camera see-through like a phone or a tablet. Now, a really good way to understand this is the amazing movie Space Jam, in which we have Michael Jordan being teleported into Looney Town. That is an amazing example of VR, right? Everything around him is a cartoon. He's kind of fully immersed in this 3D environment, interacting with the bugs and the other Looney Tunes. As opposed to what we have later in the movie, in which we have the Looney Tunes coming to us, playing basketball in the real world, in the like a real court with Bill Murray, with Jordan. So it's a really kind of cool understanding between AR and VR. Either we are teleported into Looney Town or Looney Town is coming to us. Now, real world examples of this is something that you all know, like Pokemon Go. People are running around interacting with digital monsters that are not really there. Or for VR, we have Beat Saber, really cool game. You're in a fully 3D environment, slashing cubes based on the rhythm of the music. So these are two different examples that are really popular today amongst AR and VR users. Another really cool example is something that is really close to my heart, as the pun is definitely intended. This was my thesis project back at Columbia University. We took CT and MRI scans, converted them into 3D models. I built an application to put on these smart glasses for the physician to wear, and they were able to see the inside of the patient in real time. It was an amazing use case of augmented reality that basically allowed the physician to understand the patient's anatomy in 3D. Kind of literally, the patient's heart was floating above the patient. It was a really, really cool experience, but in order to kind of achieve that, I had to do something that I really, really hate, and that's waking up early in the morning. I had to go to the hospital every day at like 6 a.m., take those 2D scans, convert them to 3D models, rebuild the application, deploy it to the smart glasses. And that process was so frustrating and took so much time. And as a developer, I only wanted to do two things. I wanted to manage the assets, and I wanted to deliver them to an AR device. Just change the heart to an aorta to lung or something like that. That shouldn't be that complicated. But when talking to other developers who are building AR and VR applications for retail and shopping and data visualization and games, they all said the same thing. There is no easy way to manage and deliver 3D data. But if you think about it, that problem was solved for 2D, right? If you're building a website with images and videos, you can use something like Heroku as your cloud platform. Or if you're using, you want to build a mobile application, you can use something like Parse or Firebase as your backend as a service. So we went from web to mobile to now this new kind of type of content, which is AR, VR, MR, 3D, call it whatever. And the question has to be asked, who's going to build that cloud platform? And you've guessed that that's Echo AR. So we are a cloud platform for augmented and virtual reality apps, basically providing tools and network infrastructure for developers and creators like yourself to build 3D applications at scale. Today, we're going to learn how you can build applications really, really quickly. We'll show some non-technical demos, some technical demos, answer any questions that you might have, and really show you how you can get started with the platform. If you're here through some hackathon, make sure to register to our platform through an affiliated link, because that will provide you with our premium features for free for a limited amount of time. So definitely check that out. And also, if you're building something with Echo AR, and again, you're through a hackathon, you are eligible to win our sponsor's prize. So definitely kind of check that out with the event organizers. Now let's dive into some concept a little bit, and then show a demo, and then do a kind of technical workshop. So think about it. The same way you don't need to be a web developer to update a blog post, you can drag and drop an image or video suddenly that appears on web and mobile. And if I'm in New York and you're in California and we're both watching an episode on Netflix, we kind of automatically get the best streaming experience. So we translated these concepts into augmented and virtual reality, basically providing you with a way to manage and deliver 3D data and get the best 3D streaming experience. So this is basically what we've built, this kind of content management system and delivery network that are focused on 3D content. You can go to our website to register for free, or again, as I mentioned, if you're here through a hackathon or an affiliated partner, make sure to use the link that we provided you to kind of get an extra perk. So once you go to our platform, you just register, you get an API key or a project key. That's kind of a unique key for your product, and then you're going to get access to our console. So let's jump right into a demo and how you can build applications really fast. So let's open that. On the screen right now, once you register, you're going to get something like that, which is like, this is my API key. Once you have that, you're ready to go. You go to our console, you plug in your API key. You're seeing our console right here on the left, and you're seeing my phone here on the right. So let's start with something super, super simple. I'm going to add some content to the cloud. So I'm going to click Add to Cloud. And here I can add 3D models, videos, images, interactive content, anything I want. We also provide you with like really cool sample 3D models that you can use. You can also use the search engine right here to search for 3D models, literally any keyword that you want to use, and we will find you free 3D models that you can use. But let's start with something simple. I mentioned that we are a New York-based company, so I'm going to plug in the Empire State Building. I'm uploading to our cloud. What happens right now is that we take that 3D model that is really suited for 3D printing, and we convert and compress it so it will work on Android and iOS and Magic Leap and HoloLens, you name it. Once that's done, we can see the content right here on the console. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use a sample app that you can download right here. We have both apps for Android and iOS right here on the downloads menu. So I'm going to open that sample app. This is a native mobile app. And I'm going to plug in my API key. So again, that's the same key that I got when I registered. Data will stream from the cloud to the device. Camera will instantiate. So now you're seeing a view of my apartment. Camera recognizes the floor. There we go. And then when I tap, voila, the Empire State is here with me. And I can walk around it, walk inside. Super, super simple. And all I have to do is just upload some content to the cloud and plug in my API key. Now, what happens if I want to change that content? So instead of rebuilding the application or doing anything technical, I'm going to go back here, delete the previous entry, else, and that will automatically update across all platforms. So let's see that. Let's post this building instead. Same process occurs. We're taking that content, converting and compressing it to work everywhere on the planet. Opening the same app, you don't have to do anything technical. Plugging in that key. And again, data will stream from the cloud to the device. So now when the camera recognizes the floor, instead of the Empire State, voila, we have this apartment building instead. How cool is that? And all we had to do is just click a few clicks and we're ready to go. So this is a really cool example of mobile AR. So basically a mobile native app that's installed on your phone and allows you to kind of see things in augmented reality through the camera. Another option that we support, because as I mentioned, we're kind of cross-platform, we don't care what camera you're going to use, is web. So for example, we work with a company, an art agency that wanted people to randomly walk into an art gallery and see AR objects around them without kind of installing anything, because how do you convince people to install kind of an app if they just walked in? So what you can do is you can actually use the web. So I'm going to click this button right here to instantiate a QR code that is associated with the 3D model. You can scan this QR code, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So let's do this. I'm going to scan the QR code. Most phones have kind of their own QR code scanner, so just make sure to place your phone in front of the QR code. It will redirect you to a website. You don't have to do anything technical, and it will kind of automatically allow you to redirect you to a website. The website will load. It will allow you to see that 3D model through a web browser and then open the camera through a web browser. So again, you don't have to do like any kind of process of app installation. So there you go. I'm going to click See in AR. And voila. I'm going to leave it here if you want to kind of scan it as well. And there you go. Through a website, I'm able to see the building right here. Let's move it a little bit. Oops, I placed it in a real spot. Let's do that again. See in AR. Camera recognizes the floor, and voila. So now I'm able to see the same 3D model, but now, again, there's no kind of app installation. It's all through a link. This link is also kind of redirects you to the same thing that this kind of link allows you to. And you can share this link with anyone in the world, and they'll be able to see that 3D model in AR with you. So a really, really cool way to kind of share 3D models really, really quickly. Okay, so we saw mobile, we saw web. Let's do another option, which is Unity. So Unity is the game engine that a lot of developers love to use, and I'm going to show you how we support data there. And later we're going to do a coding workshop specifically with Unity. So check this out. We have a Unity app right here. Again, similar to what we had earlier, camera recognizes the floor. The object is kind of projected on the floor next to me. But now let's say I want to change it. Let's say I want to do some animations or whatnot. So what I can do is I can go back here, click this button to expose the data panel that is associated with the 3D model. And then I can add some metadata. For example, let's do direction equals right. Bam, suddenly it starts to rotate in real time. Let's say I want to change it. I want to make it bigger. There you go. I'm adding a scale metadata, automatically it jumps. So this is a really simple example to show you how you can kind of affect 3D models remotely, how you can kind of change the content interactively just with a few clicks, and it will kind of automatically change. And again, all these sample apps are going to be available in the downloads menu alongside all of our SDKs. Okay, so we saw mobile, we saw web, we saw Unity, but all these examples that had the same kind of concept behind them that basically is called surface detection. The camera recognizes the floor and or kind of table or a chair, and then overlays data on top of that. Another option that we support is image recognition, basically allowing you to overlay 3D data on top of an image. So let me show you that. So maybe I'll also upload some different types of content. So let's do that. So I'm going to upload let's say a video, so you can see how video works. And now I'm going to choose on an image. So let's plug in an image file right here. Same process occurs, but now we're converting the image and video. What you can do in order to view something on an image is you can click this button right here that we clicked earlier. And then instead of doing see on the floor, you're going to do see on an image. You're going to scan the QR code. And again, if you're watching this live right now, you can actually kind of scan this QR code with me, and it will redirect you to a website. You don't have to install anything. Camera will instantiate through the browser. And then once that's done, you'll be able to see the apartment building kind of overlay the QR code. So let's see how that works. There you go. Now you see that the kind of building kind of pops out of my screen as opposed to what we had earlier that was like on the floor. And you can do that yourself. Just scan the QR code and you should see the same thing as long as you kind of place your phone in front of the QR code. Now let's do the same thing for the video we just uploaded. So I'm going to scan the QR code right here, see on an image. Again, redirects to a website. You don't have to install anything. Once that is done, you're going to see that this this camera doesn't recognize the QR code anymore. And why is that? Because again, we kind of placed a specific image as the target. So now the camera wants to recognize a specific image. And you can see this image can be anything. So let's play the video by clicking it. And you can see like this, again, augmented reality video appear automatically with no app. So the cool thing about that this image could be anything you want. It could be a magazine. It could be your business card. You can put videos of yourself talking on your business card. You can put an ad on a magazine, literally limited only by your imagination. Another thing that you can do is you can upload content based on location. So I can kind of upload content. Let's say I want to put this Fox in New York City. So I'm going to do Fox and I'm going to do New York. So this basically means that you can build an application that kind of changes based on the location of the users, like Pokemon Go. You can have, if you open the app in New York, you're going to see the Empire State Building. But if you open it in San Francisco, you're going to see the Golden Gate Bridge. So that's another kind of type of target that we support. Now let's explore the console a little more, see what we can do, and kind of later progress into like doing your actual kind of coding together. So we already saw the downloads menu. You're able to kind of download all of our sample apps and SDKs. You can choose a theme, which is cool. I like the dark, which is the default. Here we have many resources for you in the help menu. For example, our documentation. This is literally a step-by-step guide of everything I just did so far. So how to get your key, how to access the console, how to add 3D content. So kind of definitely go through that. I'm going to share the link right here in the chat. So definitely kind of look into that, and definitely kind of go through the documentation to understand what you can do with Echo AR. Everything is here. Another really cool resource is our GitHub page. It is filled with amazing open source examples that you can use to build applications. Now, specifically in your hackathon, if you're going to stress on time, definitely use kind of these open source examples because it's really easy for you to kind of build applications with it. So let me show you some examples. Let's do this I don't know, let's do some of these examples. Let's do election, let's do living room, let's do face filter or face change. Let's do COVID, and let's do another one just for kicks. Let's do Freaky Museum. So these are kind of cool open source examples that you can use to build applications. For example, if you want to do a visualizer for the election results, you throw in videos, you throw in 3D models, automatically you're able to do that. Here's another example. If you want to do a living room inside a living room, kind of throw in 3D models, throw in videos, automatically you're able to kind of have this 3D experience. Here's another cool example of a face filter. Throw in like a mask and you're able to put it on a face. Really, really cool stuff. Definitely check that out. Here's a COVID visualizer. Later, we're going to build that together. Here's another example that uses image targets. So basically you have kind of images coming to life and kind of allowing you to overlay video on top of images. So definitely check that out. I'm going to share the link to this repository right here. Here we go. Oh, I love everyone's good reactions on the chat. Keep them going. Another resource is our Slack channel. This is a place for you to ask our support team questions. So if you're stuck or something doesn't work, feel free to kind of join our Slack and support channel to ask people, how do I do this? How do I do that? Here's a link for that as well. You can always also send an email to support or tweet us, and we're going to kind of jump onto that and help you out. So let's continue exploring the console and then move into a technical demo. So what else we can do? So already you saw that you can kind of manage data. So you can manage data across different 3D content and 3D models, but you can also manage data across your entire kind of application. For example, we worked with a company who did a really cool scavenger hunt murder mystery game, and they had data associated with different kind of 3D models. Every 3D model has a specific scene, but then they also had kind of data across platform, which is like users and kind of different settings that you can kind of manage in a global database. This description is here. Basically allows you to see how much bandwidth and storage you're using, how much API calls you're making. So kind of look at that as well. If you're, again, using an affiliated link from a channel partner or in a hackathon, you should get this tier for free. So definitely check out that perk. In the locations page, you're able to monitor your distribution of content. So remember, we added that Fox in New York, so we can see it right here. We can see the servers that are supporting your application, and this, again, the distribution of content. Security page is really cool. Allows you to add users to your project. So if you're working as a team, you can add others to kind of collaborate on the same project, which is really, really powerful. Insights page is really an amazing page. It allows you to see how your content is being used. So we just streamed this apartment building. We see a spike in usage. Again, you're seeing your kind of API calls and storage and bandwidth that your application uses, and like all the actions that are being taking on your project. So a really powerful tool to understand how your app is going and how your content is doing. Users allows you to monitor users around the world that are using your application. Tutorials is a really powerful page that, again, gives you kind of frequently asked questions, a link to our documentation, and our GitHub page. And here's kind of some of the, again, open source examples that you can kind of jump in and use to build applications with. My favorite page right here is the inspiration page. It is filled with amazing AR, VR examples. Some of them are powered by Echo AR, like the kind of murder mystery game I mentioned, or the art agency project, or a project that we did with Verizon 5G. Really, really cool, amazing projects around healthcare and military and advertising and data visualization and games and even COVID. These are some submissions that people did during hackathons. They're really, really cool stuff. They use image targets and kind of surface detection and even face filters like this face mask visualizer. So definitely go to this page to kind of get inspired by people who are building and see what you can build. And if you build something with AR, let us know and we'll feature you in the inspiration page as well to kind of inform the community what is the best application out there. And as I mentioned, we also kind of sponsor a prize if you're here from a hackathon. So now we're going to kind of transition into our more technical part of the workshop to kind of build an application with a game engine called Unity. So going back to the downloads page right here, we can see we support all these different technologies. It's Unity or Java or Swift or even Flutter, like someone asked in the chat if we support Flutter. So yes. And we also have like this Flutter example, the kind of open source example that you should use. But we're going to start with Unity. So just download our Unity SDK. You just click here. It downloads a file. Once you have Unity installed in your computer, you can kind of add that SDK into Unity, either by double clicking it or importing it to the game engine. Now, this is Unity. Again, a game engine a lot of developers love to use to build AR, VR applications. We're going to use it to kind of create a 3D application and later recreate the COVID example that I shared earlier. So let's see how that works. So once you have the Echo AR SDK integrated, you have kind of this folder. Go to examples and sample. You get this scene. It's an empty scene. There's nothing here. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to go to the Echo AR game object, and we're going to plug in our API key. So now, when I press play, data will stream from the cloud to the game engine, and all these kind of 3D models, videos, and images will instantiate in Unity. There we go. We see the building rotating. We see the video playing. The video is playing in my ear, so I'm going to delete that. But check out, if I delete the video right here and go back to the game engine, it will automatically get deleted. So all these kind of updates happen in real time. Let's say the fox is a little occluded by the building. Let's move it a little bit. We already know how to add metadata. So let's do x equals 10. Bam, suddenly it kind of moved a little bit. So these are kind of obviously simple examples to show you how you can manipulate content in real time. And the cool thing about it is if I stop the application from running, everything disappears. Remember, your content is not going to persist in the memory anymore. It comes from the cloud. So that means that the app that you're going to build will be super, super small. When you publish it to the App Store, it's going to be super, super small, but the data will kind of appear from the cloud. So let's press play again. We're seeing, again, the same model. And look how cool it is. When I kind of restart the application, building is still rotating, Fox is 10 feet away. So what we have here is what we call a stateful CMS, basically kind of a stateful content management system that saved how the models are oriented, how they're doing, and kind of saving the state of the scene. And you can do that through code as well. And now let's kind of move in and kind of do some changes. So let's delete the building, and let's move the Fox back to the middle. Perfect. So let's focus on him. We have Arctic Fox right here. So now let's say I want to change something. I want to add a feature. I want to do something exciting through code. So what's cool about Echo AR is that every 3D model has the custom behavior script attached to it. It's a C# script in Unity format. So if you know C# or any other object-oriented language, you should be good. It's really simple, so let's kind of review it together. The Unity format requires you to have two main functions, at least. One is the start function, evident by its name, happens when you start the application. And another function is the update function. It's a really interesting function. It actually happens every single frame. Remember, you're coding in 3D now. This means there's like a scene being rendered. There's like almost like a video being projected into your phone. And every single scene, we can run a snippet of code to kind of do something. Because it happens every single frame, you need to make sure that this function is really well optimized. Remember your CS fundamentals. If this function hangs or crashes, your entire application hangs or crashes. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to kind of look at the start function for now and kind of see what it does and how you can add features to that. So in the beginning, we add some script to we kind of attach a script to the object. It allows it to kind of transform and move around. But let's look at this snippet of code specifically. We're asking, do I have any additional data associated with that model? If I do I have an associated key that calls name? If that's the case, set the name of the object to that value, to that name. Super simple, right? Let's see how that works in practice. If I set the name of the fox to, let's say, name, and this is free text. You can add whatever you want here. This can literally kind of be any parameter you want. But now I'm going to do name, and I'm going to call the fox Kevin. I'm going to press play. Data, again, will stream from the cloud to the game engine. But now the fox is named Kevin. How cool is that? So this is obviously a simple example to show that you can kind of stream data to the cloud, from the cloud to the device, and basically allows you to kind of use keywords to enable or disable features, anything goes. But now let's say I want to change this again. Let's change this to Sam. It doesn't change. Why is that? Because that snippet of code exists in the start function, which means that code only executes when you start the application. If I restart the application, then we'll see, again, now the fox is named Sam. How cool. But what happens if I want this to happen every single frame? You've guessed it. We're going to move that snippet of code from the start function to the update function. So we're going to put it right here. So now every single frame, we're getting asked, do I have any additional data? If so, do I have a name? And if I have a name, let's kind of place that into the name of the object. So let's press play again. Data will stream from the device to the game engine, and voila. Now we have Sam the fox. And if I change this back to Kevin, Boom, we have Kevin the Fox. So again, a really cool, simple, real-time example, but it is to show that you can plug in any data that you want, use it to enable or disable features, control if flows, control for loops, anything you want. Let's see if we have any questions. So someone is remarking that Unity is heavy to install. So that's true, but specifically, that's why we in the beginning showed a lot of the kind of web integration, so you don't have to install anything. You can literally just use WebAR and plug that, like the QR code or the 3D models, into your application or website, and you don't have to install anything. So that's another option if you're worried about installing a really large game engine. But again, if you look at it this way, it could be much worse. Like Unity is really good at like being a really kind of user-friendly game engine that you can install. It's not that heavy. And once you get kind of to play with it and you integrate Echo AR into that, it's even less heavy because like all the data is not actually persistent in the game. It actually comes from the cloud. So if you're worried about your app being heavy or kind of memory utilization, use Echo AR because again, all the data comes from the cloud and is not actually persistent on storage. So that's a great question. Okay, so we've saw the simple demo. Let's show another kind of more sophisticated demo. I'm going to upload some content and kind of recreate that COVID visualizer that we saw earlier. So let's plug in some data right here. I'm going to upload a file from my computer this time. So we have a 3D model right here of Earth. And I'm also going to throw in this kind of Excel CSV file with it. Basically, it has all these keys and values that I want the system to parse out, so I don't have to kind of type them in. So you know that you can do that. You can kind of upload an Excel CSV file, and it will allow you to basically predefine these keywords in the cloud. So let's do that. Same process occurs. We're already used to that. I'm also going to swap out the custom behavior script under the hood. So let's me do that real quick. And let's review it together. So now this is the custom behavior script, and now it's a bit more interesting, right? So what we have here is suddenly we have an array of continents, we have a dictionary, we have some data structure. The start function here looks pretty much the same, but the update function is much more interesting. So let's see what we're doing now every single frame to build the application. So we're asking, do I have any additional data? If so, do I have an additional data called name, called scale? If that's the case, parse that into a number. Then iterate over all continents. If I have a keyword that is associated with a continent, if I had kind of a data entry for that, parse the value for like the number of cases of COVID in that continent. And then ask yourself, do I have a graph for it? If so, set the size of the graph to the number of cases. If I don't have a graph, let's create a graph. Let's create a cylinder, give it a color, give it a name, give it a position, give it a scale, add the text to it. And if I don't have a kind of data hit, I can just delete the graph. So let's see how that works in practice. So now we have the blue Earth right here already uploaded, and you can see that all the data is already here, kind of predefined because we uploaded that file. So now when I click play, data again will see from the cloud to the game engine. But now what we're going to get is we're going to get the blue Earth kind of spinning. How cool is that? And we see these graphs that were instantiated to visualize all the data that we have in our data panel. How cool is that? And now let's change stuff. Let's say we want to change the number of cases in Antarctica from 1 to 8. Bam, that changed automatically. If I delete that, deletes automatically. So this is another kind of really cool example that is open source. It's on our GitHub page that you can kind of use to visualize data, play around with it. If you think about like a winning hackathon project, it could be taking this example, expanding it, and then instead of doing kind of manually updating the content right here, you can integrate this app with the World Health Organization API, grab the actual number of COVID cases, and have this update in real time through a third-party API. So really kind of an engaging example, and I kind of encourage you to build stuff around that. But again, kind of you're limited only by your imagination. You can build whatever you want. And again, when I close this, everything disappears. Perfect. So let's see if we have any questions on the chat. Someone is asking, how do we get the QR code to generate on a website? So you can use our API. That's a great question. If you go to our documentation, you will find all the answers for that. So everything we do on the console itself is actually kind of accessible through an API. So literally kind of RESTful API calls. So in our documentation, if you go to API, which is the first sub-project, you can see all the queries and everything. If you want to download this QR code, you use the download kind of API query, and just make sure to give the file storage specifically, the kind of file storage ID for that QR code, and you'll be able to kind of use that as a file. For example, for this QR code, if I grab the source, let's see, copy image address, you can see that it's just an API call that you can kind of query yourself. Everything that you do with Echo AR is, again, available through queries. If I query the console instead of using the portal, like the console itself, you have all the data here, and you can kind of use it. And here's the QR code for image recognition, and somewhere else, here's the QR code for surface detection. So great kind of question. Use these kind of data entries and reference our documentation to understand how you can kind of do that without manually doing things on the console. Great, great question. Any other questions before we move on? Perfect. So let's jump back to the slides and recap. So what did we see so far? So we saw how you as a developer can choose any technology, if it's mobile or web or Unity, saw all of our different SDKs, and how you can kind of basically build with any camera. We saw how non-technical team members can drag and drop 3D models automatically, kind of see them in AR. Everything we did in the beginning was really non-technical. We build, store, and deliver that content to devices and mobile browsers and headsets all over the world. All you have to do is kind of integrate Echo AR. We saw how you as a developer can save time and money in building your application, building your backend. We saw how content creators need no technical skills to build application, literally drag and drop, and companies can literally send data all over the world with our technology. We talked about AR and VR use cases like surgery and shopping and advertising and data visualization and games. And we saw the inspiration page that is filled with amazing examples of AR and VR that I really look forward for you to kind of build applications that we can add to that page as well. So let us know and kind of keep us posted. Super excited about that. A little bit more about us as a company. We won a bunch of awards. We're back with some of the most amazing investors in the country, like Imagine Ventures and Techstars and Verizon. We were featured at all these amazing events, and hopefully when things go back to normal, we'll be able to see you all in this event. So if you're in some cool tech event, make sure to say hello to our team. We're probably going to be there. We love to say that we empower people to build experience across all platforms. So please start building your limited, only bare imagination. This is definitely the time to build 3D applications in AR and VR. And I'm so excited to see where you're going to build. Make sure to kind of ping our team, join our community on Slack to let us know what you've built so we can feature you. And again, if you're here through a hackathon, you're also kind of eligible to win the sponsored prize. So kind of definitely check that out. Make sure you register or use the affiliated link that I mentioned, but you can just go to our website and register. Thank you so much for being in this workshop. Really appreciate everyone's time. Start building. This is the time to build. I'm going to be super happy to see where you're all going to build with Echo AR. Stay safe, healthy, and sane. And if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the chat. And if not, feel free to kind of reach out through Slack or through all of the other resources that we kind of shared with you. Thank you so much. Stay safe, healthy, and sane during these weird times. And have a good one, everyone. Thank you so much.